So he says, like, people that are in a situation like the ones that you're looking after usually have a difficult time because they're not used to seeing life from that angle, which helps them free themselves from to be at ease and to be content and be at ease with the situation. So people need to study these or like educate themselves or understand these phenomena of life. Whereas like to make somebody else see these things is quite difficult because it's not the usual perspective that people have. So all we can do is like educate and study those phenomena of life. Say, for example, that in reality nothing belongs to us, and there's suffering and there's change in life, and that this is something that we usually don't see because we're drunken with our lives, and we're kind of craving after things and after material aspects, and to see things in terms of the qualities of life generally that are not material, something people are not used to, and one has to stress that like it's not the usual perspective, but it is the perspective that brings freedom from suffering and ease. So even our parents usually, they hold on to life or to children or so. So how shall we kind of get to a perspective where we don't have upadana attachment? And in fact, like it is natural for everybody in life to disintegrate and to have like diseases. For example, like as soon as you've got an eye, you'll get eye disease. You've got the nose, you get nose disease. Like kind of like in the scriptures, like all the sense bases are bound to fall apart. But people usually don't see this because of the grasping in them. So what we can do is to build up the view and perspectives on these things in a broad way, to see that oneself is part of nature, and nature just does its duty according to the laws of nature, according to the things that have to occur in life, like old age, sickness, and death is normal for everybody. There's nobody who's exempt from that. Like there's it's a commonness of nature that everybody is bound to be prone to suffering and to be ending decay. And so to look at these things with right view, like be careful not to get lost in wrong views, which is something where we have to be circumspect and be educating ourselves in life. And he also said like we need to practice kaya capacity, and that means mindfulness of the body, specifically seeing the body in terms of four elements, because the four elements just do their duty according to nature. There's no self invested in that, so all the suffering of investing in self won't occur if we practice to see the body as part of nature, which does its normal functions according to the body, and to have right view is one way, but mostly one tends to have like views of delusion, or the view of that like asastadatithi, like it means that view of eternity, actually, that there's a self that is an entity in itself that doesn't fade away. And so we have to have a very broad vision and broad understanding and educate ourselves or study nature very broadly without being heedless in order to see these things. So we won't be prone to suffering when things inevitably go the cause of nature. So the lessons of life, they're always there, like for everybody, but yet usually people don't take those lessons or don't pay attention to these things. So we should pay attention to the Devadutas, the divine messengers. The old person, sick person, dead person that the Buddha saw, and the fourth one as a samana. These are called heavenly messengers. So the divine messengers are bringing a positive message about life. So we should pay attention to see those Devadutas, the divine messengers, like seeing sick persons as a lesson of life, which we should recognize very much rather than shutting away from our consciousness and living as you or we live in a situation where we see these things like old age, sickness, death, and faculties of life falling apart, then we should be able to derive benefits and beneficial lessons or studies out of this. And so he said this is to see death as a natural phenomenon, like something that happens inevitably, and would be good for even kindergarten kids to start seeing that already, so people don't shut away this area and understand the divine messengers as a truth that helps one to face the problems of life. And say for the actual act of death or dying, there's nothing complicated about it. The faculties go away, like the organism stops working and the organs fade. So he doesn't see anything as problematic with that for the dying person. So himself, there's nothing bad happening in that sense, and have that understanding that things are working according to nature. But if we don't accept that view, we'll get agitated and confused, and life becomes complicated, and we cannot make sense of it, and we become irritated, and that makes it much more a cause of suffering. So the main thing is to see things as natural, that they work, and things are just going away naturally. So when facing these difficult situations, one has to have skillful means and upayas, like skillful means or techniques to face these things. And the recollection of, for example, the Buddha as a person that has achieved the highest good that mankind can achieve, like incarnation of goodness, is some reflection that uplifts the heart and can help to become at ease and to recollect the Buddha, or as the goodness in each human being, as a person which has achieved the highest goodness, the highest knowledge. And then the Dhamma-nusati, to recollect the Dhamma, the teachings that things are passing constantly. Time is always fleeing from us. There's constant change, and we see the principles of nature and the impermanence that a day passes by, and we're constantly dying from what we have been in the past. This is Dhamma-nusati, and then Sangha-nusati, to recollect the virtuous persons that practice and that are an example, to practice according to Sila, to see how a community works according to Sila. Sila-nusati, to reflect about the virtues that oneself or one's own life has brought, the goodness that one has built up through good actions. And so there are different recollections that the Buddha suggested, and the last one of the whole list is Marana-nusati, is recollection of death, which means it's nothing special, because actually it's normal for everything to decay and to fall apart, and for communities to come together, they'll naturally have to go depart from each other, and so death is actually evident. There's the evident death and the hidden death. The evident one is when the body breaks apart and the features cease, but the hidden death is the death that passes throughout one's life. For example, we've been born out of our mother's womb and dying from being a fetus in the there has to be death in order for it to be there be change and development in life. So to see death in that life of processes of nature, where nothing actually belongs to one, even though society says this is this and that nation, this and that person, or it's got this and that, these names or qualities and labels. This is just a conventional reality, but in the end, when one dies, nature just takes care of all these things, and the identifications are irrelevant, and yet what's left is it's just kind of piling up the graveyard of the earth, so just the earth goes to earth. To see it neutral in that way, to look at death makes one feel at ease, because one sees it's natural that what happens. So this is something that reduces the craving, the craving and wanting, the desires for life and for things that one recognizes as wished for. So and to put it all down to nature, that makes one feel where there's nothing more to grasp at, because that means that one becomes cool, and this is where the actual aim of to find peace is just to see the ending of things. And it's like a fire that goes out because the fuel is running. It's running the fuel, and then that usually people run after life like a dog chasing deer or like wild animals, and so to come to that point of ending and then it seems to be without creating desires. So that's the highest way of seeing what happens in nature.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm trying to keep learning that within myself, and it's then the chaplaincy, dealing with people that they're running, the dog running after the deer. It can break my heart to hear them, because it's so how can I keep working on deepening these teachings, and I'm appreciating Ajahn more awareness for myself, and how do I, for me, I just look the words to be able to hold someone else without being a teacher to them, but being compassionate when they are chasing like that.
So the boss stresses the importance to start with yourself, like when in the practice, like when you internalize all these views and online and practices that lead towards peace. And one thing to train with oneself is like to realize peace. Like for example, there's the external peace, like it's called bodily seclusion, kaya viveka. Like you come to a peaceful place, and physically you're in a peaceful environment, shielded off from. So, for example, coming here, but that's only the like one of the aspects. Like you come to a monastery and you're peaceful, but the real peace, the internal peace, is if you leave behind the things that you left back there in your house, and the business and the thoughts about this, and you release the tension, you release the feelings about like all the emotional stuff that comes. Like it's not changing the place, but it has to work deeper, and then living with a feeling of being in the present, where you can cut things off, and where you only in the present moment don't think proliferating about future fantasizing, cut off the stuff that has been left behind. That will naturally to freedom, part of freedom inside oneself. And if one practices this and attains a certain amount of peace, that's already very good for oneself. But like if the peace goes really deep, it's like almost you can't stop it. It flows. It's like water flowing down from the river, from the high place, naturally going to the low place and filling up the basins and on the low levels. And this is like when peace becomes really deep, and this is what like for one's own practice, it's quite important to deepen these things. And he compares it to, like he's heard of people in England looking after prisoners and teaching Buddhism and prison chaplains. So people, like what they teach the prisoners is actually to change their perspective. Like to live in a prison, like doesn't have to be you don't have to suffer because of living in a prison, because actually like there's so many prisons in life already, and like you can change your perspective or your perception about what a prison is. Like you can also see like actually you've got a shelter from the rain and from the wind in there, and all these things that externally are threatening, they're warded off, so you've got a place to be, and a place that where one is sheltered from external difficulties, but yet internally, like everybody has a prison. The prison of life is like an old age, sickness, death, and this is what really needs to be where one needs to break free from, like old age, sickness, death. So to reflect on that actually it's conventional situations or labels of things that make people not feel at ease. If one changes the perception of these things and says, "Look, I've got what I need," and just in the same way as the householders outside that are free, everybody is imprisoned into old age, sickness, death, and to reflect like that. And he said, like like the people teaching in prisons, they sometimes use that, like, say, look, like when you live outside, like you have to pay for all these things for your meal and for electricity. Everybody pays your bills and you're happy. Nothing to worry about. So, like, to change one's, to adapt one's emotional reactions, and to adapt one's perceptions about what one is doing, to be in a place of coolness where one is at ease and not to get agitated, irritated, and confused about external things that actually one can change through the way one sees these things, to change one's emotional reaction and to adapt according to the situation.
Yeah, thank you.
นี่เรียนรู้ไปเรื่อยๆ
Keep studying.
The patients and families are my teachers. Death is my teacher.
คนที่มาดูแลแล้วก็ที่ครอบครัวของเขาแล้วก็ความตายครูอาจารย์สอนเขา
รู้ความหมายหรือเปล่าเขาครอบครัว
Do you know the meaning of the word family?
The meaning of the word family?
สมมตินี่ครอบอะไรมันครอบเราอยู่ข้างในนั่นแล้วเขามาแทงด้วยสบายไหม
It's a pun. It's a play of word in Thai. Kropkua, means the word crop means fence. Crop, Kropkua is family in Thai, and the word first syllable crop means to be fenced in. And so that's why somebody's always poking you in your fence.
Family.
You're caught somewhere, and someone is just kind of always.
ใครว่าจะทิ่มแทง
Yeah.
ก็ผลงานของเรามันทิ่มแทงเป็นลูกบ้างเป็นภรรยาบ้าง
And what is it that's always poking us, like in those things? It's our own productions of life, like our wife, our children.
เขาชนะเรานะเด็กเขาชนะเราต่อ
Sometimes they want to win over us.
เรายอมแพ้
And we have to surrender to them.
เขาร้องให้แสดงว่าเขาได้เปอร์เซ็นต์แล้ว
If they start crying, they almost got the victory.
Yeah.
พระพุทธเจ้านั้นให้ความคิดละหุโลชาตังบอกว่าบัวเกิดขึ้นแล้วเครื่องปรุงขึ้นแล้วก็ดับพูดอย่างนี้แต่ว่าเราผู้ดูชนทั่วไปอาจจะไม่มองอย่างนั้น
It says reminds us of the Buddha, that the Buddha called his own son Fetter. Rahula is the given name, and he called him Fetter.